Hello and welcome to our event dedicated to inspiring women at Sopra Steria. Thank you very much for being with us. Well, we have a very exciting agenda today as we will have the chance to meet two inspiring women experts who will share their views on the transformation of their sectors, which are artificial intelligence and cloud technologies. Let me first introduce them for you. Kritika Saraswat, you are senior software engineer specializing in artificial intelligence, and you are actually live also from the city of Noida in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. And we also have with us Béatrice Rollet. You work as Chief Technology Officer and you are in charge of digital and cloud services. You are live from Paris in France. Thank you very much for both for being with us today. Dear audience, you are more than welcome to react and also ask your questions anytime you would like to in the chat box. We will have a dedicated time to address them towards the end of the event. And you, of course, have a live transcription. The link is also available within the chat. I'm Cristina Balanos, and I'm delighted to be with you to present this very exciting event. So let me start with the context. With a study done by Gartner, more than half of enterprise IT spending in key market segments will shift to the cloud by 2025. And this includes technologies such as artificial intelligence, data, or the Internet of Things. So it really shows that these sectors, this business is really promising. So let me start first with you, Kritika. First question will be, we know that the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of these technologies. So as an AI specialist, could you tell us how AI enabled us to better face this crisis?
Well, pandemic has actually increased the need to go digital. Artificial intelligence and machine learning help us to see the COVID-19 spread, and it helps us to forecast. The decision makers can see when the COVID wave peak will come, which helps them to make better informed decisions like how to manage their resources, such as hospital beds for healthcare facilities. So in this era, artificial intelligence is definitely not an option. It's a necessity, and we all use AI in some way. We just do not realize it.
Well, tell me about it. Can you give us some examples of the use of AI in our daily basis?
So during the pandemic time, Digital Transformation Department and Sopra Steria India understood the situation and took a fast pivot and built COVID-19 chatbot, which helps the Sopra Steria employees to know about the situation going around them, like how many people are there infected around them and so on, how many beds are available near them. And in our daily life, we use artificial intelligence for travel and navigation, for self-driving cars, the machine playing chess, for customer experience in social media feeds, and much more. Nowadays, artificial intelligence also plays a very significant role in healthcare facilities and to diagnose diseases.
And within Sopra Steria, what kind of solutions are you developing for your customers?
Within Sopra Steria, we are working on multiple sectors of AI. Let's say we have built an end-to-end document summarization application, which gives you state-of-the-art summaries. We are working for automating recruitment process, where anyone can upload their resumes and see the available job vacancies and roles and skills related to that. We have actually replaced a paid software for this, and that too with better results. So definitely providing a high revenue, and it's cost effective. And we are also working with banking sector for use cases like customer churn, microloan. and there's so much more going on.
A lot of actually a lot of things that a lot of projects that you develop for your customer, very interesting ones. Let me also ask you, Béatrice, in your field, which is digital and cloud services, how the pandemic transformed its use?
Well, pandemic has been an accelerator of digital and cloud services. It's one of the rare benefits of this pandemic. Cloud being the digital engine, we have observed 40 to 40% of cloud consumption over the last 2 years. So cloud really simplified the access to resilient, scalable, and innovative IT services. So companies have boosted their cloud capability to support resiliency, to support their business resiliency, answering, for example, some e-commerce platform boost, or also providing some remote, I would say, digital workplace to their remote workers. So digital and cloud are now mainstream, and they really allow companies to reshape their activities in this new normal period.
So you were talking about 30 to 40%. That's a relevant figure. Could you give us an example of a company probably who's been using a lot AI, the cloud services during the pandemic, for instance?
Yes, indeed. One of the most emblematic cloud user is Moderna. Thanks to their cloud capabilities, Moderna teams have been able to accelerate the development and the testing of their COVID-19 vaccine. So thanks to software running into the cloud. So with traditional IT, it would have been much slower. So cloud gives them some agility and velocity.
Agility and velocity, and this use is actually not so expected. I would never imagine that it was used for such a production, I would say. On your side, Kritika, what impact does AI have on businesses now?
Artificial intelligence brings efficiency and quality to the product. We can give better customer experience because by the use of AI, we can see the trends and insights from our data and give the tailor-made experience for the customers. Also, using artificial intelligence, you can generate higher revenue because you can find out the sales opportunities and it can automate the routine task. And of course, artificial intelligence gives you intelligent advice and support. So always you can use it to make better decisions.
Extremely useful. Béatrice, on your side, what about the assets of cloud technologies for companies adopting it?
Yeah, the initial promise of cloud was to reduce the cost of IT. Now, if we look at the cloud benefits for the company who have massively adopted, and beyond agility and velocity already mentioned, innovation is the most impactful benefit. Easy access to microservices or artificial intelligence solution, Internet of Things services allow to test, fail very quickly without large investment. So then the cloud also simplifies the deployment at scale. Every company can deploy their services all around the globe using the cloud service provider data center. So companies using the cloud can transform themselves into digital-first company.
What do you mean by digital-first business when you talk about companies?
I mean that company can reshape their entire business around digital services. Digital is not just another channel. If we take, for example, Tesla, they have disrupted the automotive industry thanks to the fact that their vehicle include or are cloud or data center on wheel. This is the first tech company evolving into the automotive industry. They then offer a different experience to their customer through apps and features. And all those cloud services are now available, obviously, for any company. So that's really empower the company's creativity.
So we definitely can see the positive impacts of both technologies for companies, but the massive adoption of cloud, for instance, has a cost, I suppose, and especially in terms of energy, doesn't it, Béatrice?
That's correct. Indeed, if we look at the data center or network all around the world, they represent 4% of carbon consumption. So as every industry, we need to participate to the effort to reduce the carbon consumption. Cloud service provider now represent 1/4 of data center around the globe, and they have really improved the standard in this regard. By selecting green and renewable energy, or by improving also the usage of resource thanks to on-demand services, or using artificial intelligence-driven solution to densify their resource. It's not perfect, but it allows to really improve the, I would say, the standard compared to traditional IT. It's a chance for company, and the company should seriously now consider or investigate those solutions, this cloud solution for their ESG strategy.
And how does Sopra Steria manage to give your clients a head start via these technologies? I will start with you, Kritika, and AI.
So in Sopra Steria, AI, artificial intelligence is so vast. We have so many things in it: machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, and whatnot. So definitely you need expertise. And at Sopra Steria, we have a strong team of experts working on different domains of AI. So that's one thing. And second, our agility is inexhaustible. And also, to provide the best solutions to our clients, we try to benchmark everything so that we make sure that we provide better customer experience and provide the best solutions for their use case.
Well, talking about a project probably that you're working on, can you give us an example that really is a head start for a company that you're working with?
Well, we have developed language translator application, which is like call, but in multiple languages. So it's a web-based multilingual communication system through which several users can communicate in multiple languages in real time. So that's definitely a seamless application for translation and for communication.
So you mean that at the same time people listening to us could be actually listen to the interpreting in Chinese at the same time, in German, or in other languages, Norwegians, for instance, at the same time, real time.
Exactly.
That's very innovative. I hope those our translators and interpreters will stay actually on business, though. But so that's great technologies. We can you were showing us that we can actually have a very interesting project that could be very powerful for your customers. So Béatrice, on your side, what about Sopra Steria's positioning in cloud services?
We have a unique position in Europe based on 4 pillars. We propose some multi-cloud, hybrid, sovereign, and sustainable cloud. And beyond this offer, we also have a full range of services from consulting to integration and operation, backed with cybersecurity services. And on top of these services, we can also offer multidisciplinary digital specialists in data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things to augment the value of the application running into the cloud. So the plus of Sopra Steria is to be very flexible, very adaptive to our customer needs.
And can I ask you the same thing? Can you give us an example of a precise work project that you're working on in Sopra Steria?
Yes, for example, in the UK, in England more precisely, Sopra Steria teams are working with the National Highway to digitalize their existing national traffic information system. So the goal is really to provide some real-time information to road users thanks to sensor and data analytics. This modernization will also help to reduce the system carbon consumption. So that's the 2 benefits for this program.
Very interesting and useful. Well, let's get back to the realm of responsibility. Kritika, we can see that you create great projects. I mean, we can't say the opposite. You create great projects using these technologies, but What are the ethical challenges set by the mass adoption of artificial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence is a great technology, but there can be consequences if we are not careful. It can have biases. It can get biases from the data. So basically, in the scenario, in the use case where, let's say, in the medical field, where the life is at stake or where a large amount of sum is involved, we have to make sure and trust our machine learning models. And for that, that's when responsible AI comes into picture. So responsible AI is like an umbrella under which explainability, interpretability, fairness, privacy, and security are there. And the challenge is to make sure that your application remains unbiased throughout the process.
Well, talking about that, being unbiased, how can you do actually to avoid these biases?
Well, responsible AI is more like an approach. So starting from collecting your data to analyzing your data, from building your model and deploying it. So throughout the pipeline, we have to make sure and that our pipeline takes into account ethical AI. So yeah, that is the thing. We need to keep in mind and keep ethical AI as our priority.
And how does Sopra Steria act for more responsible and ethical AI?
Well, at Sopra Steria, we always put ethical AI at the top of our development. Our models not only give the predictions, but it also tells the reason behind those predictions, giving more transparency. We always analyze more and more our data and models so that we can find out if there are any blind spots. Make sure that our system is not biased, and we try to adopt the best practices for deployment to make sure that our system remains fair across situations. We also do a lot of testing, a lot of research, and try to be better every day.
And well, what I hear is actually very exciting, but I'd like to ask you also, how do you see the future of your respective technologies in a broad sense? Let's start with you, Béatrice.
So the future of cloud is very exciting, with an expected double-digit growth over the coming years. And the beauty of digital and cloud technology is that they are fast evolving. Every 9 months, we have the opportunity to explore new technology, new best practice. So faster, smarter, and more sustainable is currently the mantra. Then from a technical standpoint, we can see that low-code, no-code, edge computing with the emerging 5G or quantum computing are already at the agenda. So that's for the future of cloud, very close future.
Very close future. And what about AI? How do you see the future, Kritika?
AI has developed so much in these following years. I mean, getting better decisions, and AI is also helping humans to make intelligent decisions. These are not just in the movies, these are in real life now. And artificial intelligence has impacted almost every industry, from automobiles to social media to customer experience and whatnot. So definitely a bright future of AI. And also there's a lot of research going on as well let's see what AI has to bring more on the table.
Well, so what I can say that it's a very promising future, and you are exciting, actually, in an exciting field. You are inspiring women experts in this field. So, Béatrice, what do you think about that, women in this field of cloud? What is the share of women in your field of expertise?
Well, if we look at the figures, women represent 30% of scientists and engineers in Europe. Then they represent 20% in the STEM area and only 14% in cloud industry, so globally. So definitively there is a room for improvement on this aspect.
And what about you? According to you, why actually do you think more women should work for cloud services?
Why not? I think the true question is why not? Digital and cloud services have the massive impact on society, on the new normal. So everyone, I say everyone, including women, need to be part of this chapter, need to be part of this digital revolution. Cloud is a fast-growing market. It offers a lot of job opportunity with rather good benefits, excellent benefits. So I know that the domain could be seen as unfriendly, but the industry is more open now. Women are now nominated at the head of tech company, and it shows that we could and we can have a complete career. So definitively, it's an exciting area, and we invent every day. So come, join us.
And there are plenty of jobs actually waiting for you in Sopra Steria. Kritika, I heard that in India, more women are working in the tech sector. Can you tell us a few words about that?
Well, in modern India, the young folks really want to be in the technology. More and more people are are computer science engineers. And if I compare the ratio between women and men, so women is comparatively lower ratio, but definitely the curve is increasing at a very fast rate.
One last question to conclude. I'm sure the audience is probably wondering, how did you come to these sectors? So if you could tell us, how did you decide to move on to the tech sector? And probably also, how could you define your experience working in Sopra Steria? I will start with you, probably, Béatrice.
So I should admit that two of my professors have encouraged me to apply to an engineering school. I don't consider the STEM studies or field because it was not something familiar. I didn't have any engineer around me. Then I got a virus, a good virus, I should say. Reshape the way we work, the way we live also, and it's new every day. So that's what really drive me on a daily basis. In Sopra Steria, then I work on prospective activities, go-to-market plan with international team and partners. So it's both challenging in terms of technology, but also in terms of multi-current management, and the unexpected is always expected. So that's the great part of my job, I should say.
That's great. And what about you, Kritika? Did somebody actually give you this great, positive, exciting virus also?
I think I already had that virus. I've done my bachelor's in computer science, and then Sopra Steria has given me endless opportunities to work on different domains of artificial intelligence. I was in any ways interested in the technology, but being around with all these experts, and I have women experts around me, they actually motivate me. I kind of grab the energy from the people around me. They are so knowledgeable, and I actually have that flexibility to put my ideas and solutions on the table. So to get the acknowledgement, that's what is important for me, and also for most of the young folks around. So yeah, this is the thing that motivates me.
So we need more women experts like you, actually, inspiring us as role models. Thank you very much to both of you. We will now move on to the Q&A session. So let me shift on to the questions, and then I'm sure there are a lot of questions. So thank you very much for your participation. We will start with the first question for Kritika. We are all using AI, but don't know it from a data protection and GDPR perspective. And looking particularly at transparency, how are we enabling data subjects to make informed choices? That's a very interesting question.
So as I've mentioned earlier, for transparency, we at Sopra Steria, we're working more and more. As I said, our predictions not only are just predictions, we also tell the reason behind those predictions so that we can build trust and trust on our clients and on the application. So it's a pipeline. we make better informed decisions because we actually do a lot of pipeline building and keeping the ethical AI at the top. So that's how.
Next question will be for Béatrice. With the development of further use of cloud technologies, how are we hoping to minimize the effects that the technology has on the environment?
That's a good question. I should say that we have made a lot of progress regarding to the data center industry, because when we talk about the impact on the environment, we often talk about data center, but we need also to improve ourselves, well, the industry, on the fact that 75% of the pollution come from the creation of components. So that's where we have really a room for improvement as well, to minimize the impact on the environment.
Next question for Kritika. Well, we have that already. Let me switch to another question. So talking about AI, where artificial intelligence used within the Sopra Steria, the Sopra world, probably somebody from Sopra talking. My question is about including the employees. Is AI used for Sopra Steria employees? If yes, where or what programs? But there's one actually that you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. During the start of pandemic, we have built COVID-19 chatbot. It's a AI-based application, and it helps employees to stay informed about the COVID-19 situation around them. So definitely we are working at Sopra Steria. As I said, for Sopra Steria banking, we're also working for churn prediction, microloan management, and so many other solutions. So yes, at Sopra Steria, we're also providing solution, and we as an employer are also getting the benefits of it.
And how secure is information in the cloud, and what is the cloud? That's a broad question for you, Béatrice.
Yes, now that's a very good question, I should say. Companies are very careful with their information, with their data. And when you move your information outside your traditional data center, obviously you need to rethink the way your security strategy has been sought. So it's very important for company to understand that the cloud is secure in itself, but you need to manage all around the security. That's the first point. And the second thing is that we have noticed during the last months is that some company has been attacked, and with I would say traditional approach, those security system has been done in the meantime than their IT system, and using the cloud as a solution to, I would say, reinforce, to back up, to create some resilient security system is another way to use this solution, not only to as the engine of your IT system, but also as a way to, I would say, propel your cloud security system. So that's very important to rethink from scratch your strategy and to include the cloud as a normal piece now of your IT strategy.
A lot of work to do, actually, to pay attention to. Another question for Kritika. AI is only as good as the programming behind it. Are there extra controls, processes in AI projects? How do you prevent biases in AI in Sopra Steria?
So we have algorithms, if I go into the technical details, and yes, we have control over them to some extent. If I talk about deep learning and much more typical concepts, the control is less, but most of the cases or most of the scenarios that we are working on, or not just we, let's say recommendation system and other social media feeds, customer experience, all these use cases have very much they are developed in a controlled manner, and less chances of biases. And how we control biases, as I said, is to keeping in mind the principles and values of ethical AI, following the pipeline of responsible AI, which gives privacy, security, explainability, interpretability, and also takes into account that our models, machine learning models, are not biased.
What about Beatrice? What are the assets of cloud technologies for the companies adopting them?
Well, what I mentioned is that the first thing is about agility and velocity. And then obviously, through this first benefits, the company realized that the innovation is probably the most important benefit, because it really allows any company to access to cutting edge technology and to free up their creativity. So that's where we see the best benefit on the ground at longer term, even if it was not thought initially as the prime benefit. And then more recently, I think the company have also see the benefit from a sustainable perspective, making sure that they can modernize their existing data center and adopt much more, I would say, efficient IT resource.
One last question for both of you. I will start with Kritika in the answer. Any view on how EU digital sovereignty initiatives such as Gaia will impact how AI and cloud solutions can develop? Well, you're based in India, so Kritika, I don't know if you have any idea of Gaia, but I suppose maybe yes.
So you were saying something?
No,
go ahead, please.
Okay, so how we are developing AI solutions is what I've mentioned through research. We do extensive research, and there's so many algorithms going on, but definitely, as I said, there's so much more to AI. The research is at an extensive level, and through our past experiences, we try to learn more and more. Also, there's one more interesting field known as reinforcement learning, where the model learns from its mistake. It's like hit and trial. It gives penalties if the predicted answer is wrong, and it gives some reward if the predicted answer is right. So we do not need much data to do that kind of thing at an initial phase, but the results that we are getting from these kind of algorithms are like state of the art, which can also be comparable to the human-like results or human-like interpretation. So yes, that.
What do you think for cloud and AI? Also, maybe you have in Europe, you have an idea of that, Beatrice?
Yes, GaiaX, I presume this is what you refer to,
yeah,
is an initiative, is a European initiative to try to normalize some cloud solution, making sure that whatever come from those solutions, they can respect the spirit of Europe, basically. What are our laws, making sure that we don't, for example, export some data in other country. So the idea there is to have some sovereign cloud, making sure that we are completely aligned with our regulation, with the expectation of companies, but also people as us who use the cloud and want to have their data secure and protect. So that's, I think, a great initiative. Now we need to see how it will land concretely, what solution will be available. And obviously, if those solutions are available, we will offer it to your customer.
So apparently there's another question, well, there's plenty of questions, so we want to continue a little bit. That's for Béatrice, what about data information that is no longer needed, required? How do you deal with this safety and securely?
That's a good question. I should say that on a personal standpoint, I try to clean up all those data every time I can, clean up everything, because if you think about the IT resource necessary to support it, it's very consuming. So that's the first thing. The second is that it's very complex to control all of those data. From a personal standpoint, because we give those data and then just forget it. From a company perspective, we have some very strong regulation and we have to follow them. That's starting by GDPR, for example, and then the idea obviously is to make sure that in every sector, every industry, we have more, I would say, specific regulation to control, to protect those data.
One last question, this will be the last one really, that's for you, Kritika. Could you give us an example of biased AI?
Sure. So let's say I'll take an example of language translator. So there are two languages that he wants to translate. One says that she is a doctor, he is an engineer. After translation from any different language, you'll get the results as he is a doctor and she is an engineer. So there can be biases that AI can get from data, like in this particular case, the model already interpreted that if we are talking about a male personality, then he's most probably be a doctor. So yeah, that's one example.
And that's a very actually obvious example talking about gender biases. So that's why you also work in these fields, and there are plenty of jobs waiting for you. Thank you very much, ladies, for this very interesting discussion. And as you can see, dear audience, you can see that there are inspiring women in these fields, and there are plenty of jobs waiting for you within the tech world, and especially within Sopra Steria. So please do not hesitate also to check our career website, career page. You have the link in the chat box. And thanks again for following us. I just have to remind you that we have another great, exciting event. Next week, we will have the chance to meet two other inspiring women at the same time on Tuesday, and they will talk about the evolution of the defense and also inclusive finance. So thanks again for being with us. Thanks again for participating. Also, you can anytime also write on social media with the hashtag Inspiring Women at Sopra Steria. Thank you very much again, and see you next week. Bye-bye.